Good afternoon, good morning, good day, VC. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. This is just a super quick response to the wonderful Alan Static Traveler's latest video, the VC Challenge, titled 1001 Other Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. Please go check that video out first before you watch this one. Alan's one of my favorite VC members. He's probably the only person that can inspire me to go to a charity shop in case I can find something amazing for cheap. It's never ever happened. I've never found anything, but it's inspiring. So Alan basically talked about this book here, which a lot of music nerds probably have or have at least been aware of. I think my copy is even older than Alan's. Goes to, I think, 2005, but just as an example, Mariah Carey, Butterfly, Robbie Williams, and that's just a random page I just picked. I mean, are they really essential albums you need to hear before you die? I don't think so. But on a serious note, I picked this up in 2000 and probably 2005 when this edition came out. And for at least, 5 years, this was a Bible for me. I did learn a lot about different types of music and I guess how music is connected and stuff like that. It was quite an important book for me, but looking at it now, it's very much a Rolling Stone-esque vision of music. Like The Offspring, does that really do you really need to hear that before you die? I'm not quite sure. So anyway, Alan asked us to pick 5 records that we could include in an alternative version of the 1001 list. And today is Sunday, and I have a whole bunch of chores to do today, but I woke up this morning and I sat down with a coffee and I watched Alan's video, and I immediately started thinking of what I would show, and it's now 11:55 a.m. and I haven't done any chores, and I've just been pottering around thinking about what records I could show in this video. So that's half my day gone already. So I end up I'm picking 10, I'm sorry Alan, but what I will do is I'll keep it short and I won't talk in too much detail about each record. I've actually got 11 if you count what's playing in the background. But I started thinking about the title specifically. What does it mean? You must hear these before you die. Because there's a few kind of ways you could kind of tackle it, I thought, personally, living down at the bottom of the world in New Zealand, there's lots of things that I think are really amazing, really interesting, really innovative and unique that didn't really make it or make a big impression on the US and the UK. So things like that. Or I could kind of, show things that are maybe historically important. Maybe it was the first example of this kind of record, or this thing set off a movement, that sort of thing. I could just show completely obscure, avant-garde, interesting things that are really, really interesting records, but not particularly something that you could listen to all the way through or wouldn't appeal to a lot of people. So if we were remaking this book, I suppose the music has to be enjoyable, more broadly speaking. So I wasn't quite sure which way to kind of handle it. So I ended up with kind of a mixed bag of things. But yeah, we'll get started. Because to me, I would like to read a book where I get to hear something that sounds completely unique, something completely different. Rather than another Bob Dylan album. But this isn't even in the top 10, and I just put it on in the background, but actually this should be in there, because this is an amazing piano album by Emahoy. I won't pronounce it, but she is a Ethiopian piano player, just an absolutely, completely unique style. I would put this in the list actually, so there we go, that's 11. But anyway, so where to start? The first thing I thought of was I have to show something from New Zealand, from where I am. And I want to show this record here. This was ground zero for Flying Nun Records, and basically has been credited as ground zero for indie and alternative rock in the 90s. So this came out in 1981, and bands like Pavement, Sonic Youth, Thurston Moore especially, The Wedding Present have all credited, Dinosaur Jr. have all credited The Clean as a massive influence on their sound in the early 90s and into the mid 90s. So this came out in 81, but it sounds like it came out in 91. It was absolutely ahead of its time, and absolutely influential for what became mainstream Indian alternative rock in the 90s and 2000s. So I would include this because it is a brilliant EP. Every track is killer, and it's just an unknown, underrated album, basically. Please check out the track Anything Could Happen, or Point That Thing Somewhere Else. So this is a 1981 Flying Nun record. So that would absolutely be up there. I did pull out a bunch of stuff and realized that some of it wasn't there. Like, I was going to show the first Suicide record, but surprisingly that's in the book. This one also I thought might make it into the book, but it hadn't. Maybe Shirley Collins kind of, I know in more recent times she's kind of come back into popular listening circles, but I think this is an absolutely stunning, beautiful record, and definitely should be in your 1001 that you need to listen to. Folk Roots, New Roots, Shirley Collins and Davy Graham. This is a Four Men with Beards reissue. Good luck finding an original, but yeah, this is an absolutely wonderful set of tunes, stunning. Number 3, I have to include this classic album here by Don Cherry, Organic Music Society. A real like touch point for an organic jazz. I don't know how to describe it. If you know this record, you'll know why this needs to be put in here. A beautiful spiritual jazz world melding of cultures, really. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Another one that, and that is personally musically amazing, but also historically really important for me. This is the Manuel Gottsching E2E4. Basically credited as the first house or electronic piece of music, really, in that sort of style. Manuel Gottsching obviously was in Ashra Temple. Just a really killer singular piece of work. I think everybody needs to hear this. If you are especially into electronic and dance music, this is kind of like the template where it all started. One of the jewels in my collection is this one. Fantastic. So the next one I was really unsure to put on because I barely listened to it all the way through, and most people probably wouldn't like it, but as a singular, important, interesting piece of work, I think it's kind of on its own level. This is Evan Parker, Monoceros. Basically just an amazing feat of technical playing. The way he play, it's just him improvising on a saxophone for the whole album, but the way he layers things and the way he breathes and makes the sounds that are coming out of this thing is just a technical feat in absolute brilliance and texture and tone. I think this should be in the list, but I think a lot of people probably might disagree with that. I think you should hear it because it's going to be nothing like you've heard before, is what I'll say. Okay, now this next one is definitely a probably more of a popular release, and most people in the VC, or at least people that watch my channel, would be familiar with this absolutely wonderful, I would say a perfect jazz album, UK jazz album by Joe Harriot and Amancia da Silva. obviously landmark in terms of fusing Indo and jazz fusions together. Historically important, musically important, and is absolutely wonderful. Definitely got to make that list. Got a couple more here. This was a mind-blowing record for me when I first heard it. This is Deceit. This came out in, I want to say, early 80s. I've actually completely forgotten. A wonderful experimental post-punk record. Strange, weird, experimental, dubby, not dubby, but great record. Please listen to us if you don't. Check it out. If you don't know it, check it out. I think it's a really cool, really important listen. Before I heard this, I was pretty heavy into post-punk, all the big names, and this kind of redefined what post-punk could be to me, in terms of the aesthetic of it. It's fantastic. Okay, 3 more. Everybody knows this, but it needs to be in the book. Something that everybody at least has to hear once. And the first time you hear this, generally I think most people are pretty stunned by how beautiful it is. Steve Reich, Music for 18 Musicians on ECM. Definitely you need to hear this. A bit more of a fun one, and this is one of my personal 10 out of 10 records, something that I could listen to all day till the end of time. And I have talked about this many times on the channel. Fred turned me onto this many years ago, and I absolutely adore it to this day. This is Jorge Ben Fossa Bruta, an absolutely beautiful Brazilian record, something that everybody should hear at least once. Just absolutely pure pop perfection, Brazilian pop perfection. It's a 10 out of 10 record for me, so that has to make the list. One more record that I think is really interesting and needs to be put on the list for sure is this record here, Miles Davis, In a Silent Way. Could be my favorite depending on my mood, and quite groundbreaking in terms of Miles's career. It started bringing in the electric piano quite a bit into this and moving into almost like a ambient space before Brian Eno coined ambient. It's just all about what he's not playing and the feeling on this record. Definitely started to usher in a new era of electric pianos and electric bass, being brought more into jazz at the time. So very much a landmark album and something that you definitely need to hear. So there we go. Thank you, Alan, for making the video. Really cool idea. Love it. I hope other people do make contributions to it because I think it's a really interesting idea. I like to do this sort of thing when I have friends over. I like to pull out, some of my favorite records and kind of really interesting examples of genres that they may be familiar with but not know these albums in particular. So thank you for wasting my Sunday morning. I now have to go and mow the lawns and do the washing. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye.